Dusenberry, and Commissioner Kelly Walsh. We also have our Superintendent of Schools, Herndon, is with us. And you'll hear from the School Board Chair, James Herndon, also tonight. And Mayor, if you want to come join me.
Welcome everyone. I want to add my welcome to Jill's and thank everyone for being here. You may not remember that last year we did this on Zoom, so we are so grateful to be here in person and enjoy this lovely space. I wanted to recognize some special folks that have joined us, and some of them may have to leave a little early. So I know that Garrett McKinley from Congresswoman Nikema Williams' office is here. Thank you for being here. We also have Polo Vargas from Senator John Ossoff's office here. You may have Martha Revelo from Senator Raphael Warnock's office. There she is. We have several DeKalb County commissioners, Commissioner Lorraine Cochran Johnson, Commissioner Steve Bradshaw, Commissioner Michelle Long Spears, and Commissioner Ted Terry. So glad you're here. I decided to invite them and they will come. So I know some of you have to leave and get to some, there's a DeKalb roundtable, I believe, this evening that Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson is sponsoring. So some of you may have to leave, but I wanted to make sure that you knew that we are thrilled that you're here and hope you can stay as long as you're able. And I'll turn it back over to Jill. Thanks.
Mayor? Okay, before we get started, I have one other person I want to recognize. At our last meeting in December, we recognized our outgoing president, Daryl Funn, and I misremembered some things during the pandemic and wanted to also recognize our president for that, Susan Sparks, who I don't know if she is here tonight. But Susan actually is the one that was our president when the pandemic started in 2020 and led us through our early days when we were only on Zoom for meetings. And then Daryl took us out of that through the rest of the years. So I just wanted to recognize Susan because we didn't get to recognize her in a public forum when we were on Zoom in the pandemic. So thank you to Susan Sparks for her leadership. But we also have our Thomas O. Davis Service Award and our we're honoring our city employees that have worked from 15 years to 45 years. And so that's always inspiring to see the people who serve our city, and they enjoy it so much they stay for a very long time. So I'm going to hand it off to Decatur City Manager Andrea Arnold to get started with this year's Thomas O. Davis Award.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
Well, it is my honor tonight to present the Thomas O. Davis Award in person, no less. Decatur's Thomas O. Davis Award honors someone who helps strengthen the bond between government and our community. They serve as a role model for others in public service. They contribute to the well-being of the community. They inspire others to get involved in public service, and they serve the public with respect. The award is named for Decatur's longtime city attorney, Thomas O. Davis, who embodied all of these attributes every day of his distinguished career. Mr. Davis served as Decatur's city attorney from 1968 until his death in the year 2000. And I had the privilege to work with Mr. Davis for just a few years when I first started at the city in the late 90s. something that I can only aspire to. And even today, I find myself at City Hall late in the evening sometimes, just poring over his old legal opinions from 25 to 30 years ago. But tonight, I have the special privilege to honor a member of our Decatur community who embodies that work ethic and that spirit of selfless public service. The 2023 recipient of the Thomas O. Davis Award is Michael Gerald, and Michael is an equipment operator in our solid waste operation. And I'd like to share a few words that help to paint a picture of Michael's commitment and dedication to our community. And those people that know Michael, they know that he prefers to work quietly, behind the scenes, and he doesn't seek attention or credit. But tonight, I'd really like to give him the credit that is due. Michael came to work for the city of Decatur in April of 1993 as a sanitation equipment operator in the Public Works Department. This year, he celebrates 30 years with the city, and as he prepares to retire, unless we can talk him out of it, it is fitting that we recognize his contributions to the city beyond his day job and how he has worked above and beyond his job description to make his community special for you and your families. Back in the early 90s, before some of you were born, we were trying to create a downtown where people wanted to gather. Let's just say it looked a lot different back then. We started partnering with local nonprofits to host new events like the concerts on the square and the Decatur Arts Festival. And as the events grew, the cleanup became too much for the volunteers to handle. And this is where Michael comes into the picture. His supervisor, the Public Works Director, Charles Hammonds, he suggested that Michael Gerald was the leader we needed to manage a team of off-duty employees to help with setup and cleanup for these nonprofits and their events. Michael is the one who's there at the beginning and at the end of these events, and he's quick to respond to the event's needs. He selects awesome team members that are willing to literally do the heavy lifting even after their regular job is done. He listens to the needs of the events and the event organizers. He handles the details of finding the right people to do the job. He goes above and beyond what is asked with a great attitude and a willing smile. He does the work that I bet you just take for granted, that after thousands of people gather downtown to enjoy our festivals and other events, that there will be no trace of the event when it's over. I must say, I still don't know how the sand got cleaned up so quickly after the beach party. You would never know it took place. And Michael's a true role model for all of us in public service. Reminds many of us why we have committed ourselves to public service. It's not for fortune or fame, but just to make a place a little bit better than when we found it. And Michael certainly has done that over his 30 years. And Michael is not here tonight. He is actually under the weather and not able to be here. So I've asked David Younger, our Assistant City Manager for Public Works, to accept the award on his behalf. And I also want to recognize Mr. Davis's daughter, Susan Bennett, who is here, and if she'll come up, we'll present the award and get a nice photo. And I believe your grandson is here as well. Mr. Davis's great-grandson, he'll come up as well. Is it Candler? Yes. No, come on up. And so we will present the Thomas O. Davis Award for Michael Gerald. to Mayor Patti Garrett, who is going to issue some service awards for our employees.
It's my pleasure to be able to recognize these folks that have worked for the city for a long time. We appreciate their service. I'll ask them to come up and present you with an award, and Denise will hand out your award. I'd love to shake your hand as you come across the stage, and then if you'll gather to my right and your left, we want to take a picture afterwards. So the first employee that we would like to recognize, we have two with 15 years of service. Gail Alonso, who is a communications officer with public safety. She works in the E911 system. So Gail, if you can come forward. And then Meredith Rourke, city clerk. And now, with 20 years of service, Taria Brown, also a communications officer with public safety in the 911 system. So, we all appreciate the great work of our 911 folks. So, Tammy Washington. Congratulations to Tammy. Next is William Woodruff, or Billy Woodruff. Billy is a police captain in the police department. Next, with 25 years of service, we have Andrea Arnold. I know that I could not do without her. I think most of us in this room feel that way. Tim Caroli. Here this evening, but Tim is a police lieutenant in the police department. He may be on duty. So next is Michael Nally, a fire sergeant. He's not able to be here either. Next is Tyler Stevens. Changes in 25 years in maintenance in the Public Works Department. And next, with 45 years of service, Hugh Saxon, special recognition that I don't think this person is aware of, the forward and bring remarks as part of the State of the Schools address. We really appreciate our partnership with the City Schools of Decatur and look forward to great things working together over this year and the years to come. So please welcome James Herndon.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I want to thank Mayor Patti Garrett, Mayor Pro Tem Tony Powers, Commissioner Kelly Walsh, Lisa Meyer, and George Dewsbury, as well as the Decatur Business Association for allowing the City Schools of Decatur this opportunity to share many of the accomplishments and the wonderful activities we have going on in the school district. I want to acknowledge my fellow CSD board members, Vice Chair Dr. Carmen Sultan, Jana Johnson-Davis, who was not recognized, but she did sneak in late, so I want to recognize Jana right there in the back, Tasha White, and Hans Boots, as well as our superintendent, Dr. Furman. The school board is grateful for the collaboration with our counterparts on the City Commission. The close and incredibly constructive working relationships between the City Commissioners and staff and our CSD board and staff are not only a benefit, but in many ways the backbone of what makes Decatur great. I had the privilege this year to attend the renaming ceremony of the middle school to Beacon Hill Middle School. I was personally moved by the words and life advice, as I always am, of former Mayor Elizabeth Wilson. While standing at the statue this week, my daughter asked, "Is that the woman you keep giving us advice from?" And I said, "Yes, it is." It reminded me that she told her own daughter about the concept of good, better, best. We are a good school system. We are a good city. In many ways, we are excellent. I will share many of the ways we are excellent in a few minutes. My daughters are good. When I criticize them, that doesn't mean they can't be better. Doesn't mean the city can't be better. And it doesn't deny the work we have to do. What separates us, according to Ms. Wilson, and you're not allowed to disagree with her in this city, is we in Decatur have the opportunity to be the best. And that is rare. We in the City Schools of Decatur have the opportunity, the resources, and the relationship to be the best. I'd like to share a few of the places where I think that we've achieved quite a lot in the past year and have going on, the things that make us good. Legacy Park Track and Field is a great place to start. I want to thank the City of Decatur for the collaboration, cooperation on this joint venture to build an athletic field and track. Having athletic fields for this, for our students, for our city, has been a tremendous year. We really appreciate your partnership in getting that done. Safety is something that exists on the way to schools and at schools, but wouldn't exist without our cooperation with the city, our working relationship with the agencies and the community groups. We are so lucky to have a police department that listens, that is willing to work with the school resource officers and the rest of the department anytime we call. The crossing guards that exist in the city are amazing. Miss Joyce, or Tammy, or as I call her, Miss Joyce's daughter, who received an award earlier, has been a part of my family, and that's something people outside of Decatur don't appreciate. For 7 years, I've walked to school, and a woman has stood on the corner and said hello to every single kid who's walked by, and they get to start their day. They are amazing. There's so many more groups that contribute to the safety, and whether I'd be here all night, but on part of the board, I would like to take a second to recognize the tireless work of our police, our fire department, our crossing guards on making our schools safe. We're of course going through a lot of changes. In September 2022, we kicked off the process of building what is our 5-year strategic plan. We are thankful for the staff, the community members, a few commissioners who have participated in a survey and engagement and planning to get to the point for an action team that develops where we want to see our school system. Dr. Furman will soon kick off the vision and mission part of the strategic plan process, and we look forward to how these statements and the feedback from the community will set the tone and the direction for our district. Another significant process we've been working on in the strategic plan is our charter system contract renewal. It's an agreement we share with the State Board of Education, where in exchange for increased accountability, we have a school system. Some of the things we're applying for are ensuring that every student in our school system achieves high-quality reading instruction, or receives it, and partners with a school that specializes in intensive reading intervention. We're partnering with local universities on how we can grow our teachers and provide a longer runway to prepare and train educators. We'll be developing plans for how CSD can provide increased flexibility for our staff with multi-year contracts and the ability to retain the best and the brightest. We want to explore how CSD can partner with local businesses to provide our students with internships that include real-life, on-the-job training. The superintendent shared with me earlier that she's heard from the DeKalb board, but she doesn't often hear from the Decatur Business Association. We've got to get on that. I want to share some of the data people always ask me about. The City Schools of Decatur for 21-22 Georgia milestone results continues to show that we are a growing and excellent system. The community should be incredibly proud of these successes. Our 2022 graduation rate was 96.6. That compares to a state rate of 84.1. The class of 2022 was the largest graduating class in the history of Decatur. We had the highest percentage of students reading at or above grade level in the state of Georgia for both the 3rd and 5th grade. That's where they measure it. And the highest percentage of students scoring proficient or above in English language arts in the state of Georgia for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. In terms of operations, we've made significant progress with sustainability initiatives that matter to so many of us here in Decatur. They include reducing energy usage. We've begun to build infrastructure projects such as solar arrays on top of multiple buildings, the installation of electrical vehicle charging stations at multiple schools and City Schools of Decatur home office. We've upgraded outdoor lighting system to reduce consumption, but also increase security and safety at the schools. This is my favorite data, I had to share this. Our nutrition department received the Golden Radish Award for 2 years in a row, 2021 and 21-22. The Golden Radish is given to local education agencies in Georgia who are doing the work of farm to school. The award is given by the Georgia Department of Ed and Agriculture and Early Child Care and the Georgia Department of Organics. And our school system is going out of their way to bring locally sourced, excellent meals to your children. Behind the scenes, CSD has been investing in things like student privacy, cybersecurity. A handful of districts have partnered with K-12 where IT standards and infrastructure Decatur is on the cutting edge. I want to talk about equity and student services for a second. This is the foundation and the core belief of every member of the City Schools of Education Board. We are working on groundbreaking equity policies. We're doing our best to reach across the country. I laugh at this. While school boards across the country are discussing whether racism and history have a place in our classrooms, we're having conversations about how can we make sure that they happen in our classrooms. Equity and Student Services added a full-time equity coordinator. Mr. Anthony Downer brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise. We had a presentation from him about the capacity of culturally responsive, anti-racist education that's occurring in our classrooms. They partnered with teacher and learning departments all over the state to focus on a framework which was developed by our equity department to help eliminate and create policies that can eliminate those disproportionate academic and discipline outcomes that are based on race. A couple of other fun facts to share as I close up. We opened the Middle School Student Center. It's developed to provide wraparound services and individual and group counseling to address the social, emotional, and mental health concerns for those troubling times we call middle school. We're invested in SEL learning. In December 2022, Ben Nabel, who's a school psychology and the 504 coordinator for the city, and Natalie Bonshu, a third grade teacher at Tally, visited India to share some of the SEL curriculum that we're doing here in Decatur and learn from them. The state and the federal program department are developing and managing programs designed to ensure that all students, but particularly students impacted by poverty, home insecurity, English as a second language, and disability, are eligible under the IDEA and have a fair, equal, and meaningful opportunity to achieve the same high-quality, free, and appropriate education as all students in Decatur. I tried to list and asked the staff of the city schools to share some of the accomplishments, and it ended up being a 30-page document. So forgive me for some of the things that I'm sharing being a limit on what all we do. Tally Street celebrated the Lunar New Year. I'm going to give that shout out to their Diversity Activities Committee for the hard work. It was an awesome, awesome parade. Westchester's engaged in community partnerships with generous support of DEF Teachers Grant. They brought Stories Alive Literacy and an art program, bringing authors to come and engage with students. Fave's IB World School Evaluation is an extension of our IB World Schools. It's been authorized to do so since 2009, and every 5 years they go through the implementation to be one of the schools at that level engaged in the IB curriculum. Oakhurst hosts a Diwali celebration. That's the highlight of their PTA group. The joy and beauty of Oakhurst rests in the culture and the staff coming together to celebrate a holiday. It always reminds us to shine and be happy. Claremont Bulldogs have something called Steamy Fridays, which is not as dangerous as it sounds. They engage in STEAM-based activities in K through 2, where they play, test, share STEAM-based learning education in the classroom. Our football team won its first regional championship in 18 years. Go Bulldogs. They had multiple students. Yeah, that's a round of applause. The girls and boys cross-country teams were state champs. In fact, 95 to 98, depending on the year, of our athletic teams make the state playoffs. It's an unbelievable statistic. We're most proud and more proud of the students who are engaging in extracurriculars through our city, with our schools. We've added gymnastics, we've added flag football. Our main goal is to ensure that student athletes have the opportunities and have experiences to participate in those extracurriculars in a safe and encouraging environment. Beacon Hill brought back the in-person beta club, and in order to catch up, had to induct 230 6th, 7th, and 8th graders for their academic success. Sports, something close to my heart, the Decatur debate team is now one of the nationally recognized. Only 50 schools qualify for nationals. Decatur's already done it. Way to go, Bulldogs. I will close by saying we're a great school system. We can be better, and I hope with our cooperation with the city and fine business owners, we can be the best.
Thanks, James. It's truly wonderful to hear about all the great things happening in city schools in Decatur, and we very much appreciate your partnership. Before I get started, I do want to recognize a couple of other partners who are in the room. I know Doug Faust is here from the Decatur Housing Authority, and we'll talk a little bit about our partnership with them. And I believe Demetrius Williams from Agnes Scott College with their community engagement group may be here as well. We very much appreciate the partnership with Agnes Scott and know that city schools of Decatur also work in partnership with Agnes Scott College. And as we look at some of the accomplishments of 2022, it's important to recognize that none of these accomplishments would have been possible without the contributions of so many of you who are here. Our fellow elected officials, community partners, appointed boards and commissions, and city staff members. And of course, I have to thank my fellow commissioners who are here this evening. I appreciate each and every one of you, and together We continue to lead, and along with each of all of you, we've achieved some pretty remarkable accomplishments this year. Thank you for the opportunity to serve as mayor of this amazing city. I want to highlight some of those accomplishments and mention a few things to look forward to in 2023. Our strategic plan continues to be a major focus. All paths in the city lead back to our strategic plan. Our 6 focus areas are equity and racial justice, climate action, civic trust, affordable housing, mobility, and economic growth. And of course, the approach is not a siloed one, but one that is dynamic and overlapping. So how do we build civic trust? In chatting with another mayor from a small city in Georgia recently, we talked about the importance of planning. He mentioned the fact that his city had not really invested in planning for the last 30 years. And now they're having to make up a lot of ground quickly. We are not that city. I think we always plan, we pride ourselves on planning and involving the community in doing so, and in using those plans to guide budget decisions and actions. Following through and implementation of plans is definitely a priority for this city. So let's take a look at some of the planning efforts that began in 2022. Our Parks and Rec Master Plan, also known as Decatur Recreator, began last spring. Much community input has been sought and received. Places to recreate, play, and enjoy the outdoors has been key to our collective ability to withstand some of the impacts of COVID that continue to impact our lives. Through the month of January, an online interactive engagement tool can be used to share and collect feedback. We're closing out the end of January, but we will make sure that we put out on social media and all our communication networks the way to participate and get feedback as we close out. And we're doing this because our last in-person input session, the weather was not very welcoming for people to come and participate, and we wanted to make sure there would be an additional time for folks to come and give their input and could do it online. Speaking of other plans, we opened the Parks and Rec plan. We also opened the Oakhurst Recreation Center this fall. Check it out. It's open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. There are classes, swimming, other activities, and believe me, it's had a bit of a facelift. So if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. I also want to recognize Commissioner Dusenberry for his role in representing the City Commission as our representative for the planning team for the Parks and Rec Master Plan. And this is our very newly installed inclusive playground at Legacy Park. This was a joint funding venture through a partnership with DeKalb County. I don't know if any of our commissioners are still here, but we had support letters from Commissioner Steve Bradshaw and Commissioner Ted Terry to get community project funding grant money from DeKalb County, and the cost of the inclusive playground is being split by the city and the grant that we have received. And if you didn't know, this idea was brought forward as a project from our elementary school students as part of the strategic planning process. So I can't wait to see children out enjoying this wonderful playground. We also kicked off the Downtown Master Plan, Decatur Town Center 2.0 in November. Our last full-scale comprehensive master plan for downtown, the Decatur Town Center Plan, was completed in 1982. Some of you may not have been born by that time, Commissioner Meyer. One of the observations made at that time. It's important to note that our successful downtown redevelopment program is not the work of any one individual or any one organization. In fact, our success is directly attributable to the strong partnerships that exist in our community. That certainly holds true today. Decatur has been a leader in placemaking, making our public spaces places where people want to gather, spend time, shop, eat, and just enjoy being a part of the community. What's next for us as a leader? How do we continue to be bold and creative, as Commissioner Walsh likes to say, and she represents the City Commission on this planning team? Help us with your input. You can check out the website at DecaturTownCenterPlan.com, or you can look on the city's website and find out how to get there. The next community meeting will be held March 2nd from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Decatur Rec Center. This year, we also passed the Clean Energy Plan that was identified as a needed step in the climate action portion of the 2020 strategic plan. The Clean Energy Plan is ambitious. I'm telling you, it's ambitious. But one of the goals is to have all of our municipal buildings supplied by clean and renewable energy by 2030. And again, thank you to the school system for stepping up and setting their own sustainability and clean energy actions as well. To that end, solar panels have been installed on the Public Works facility, partially funded by a Georgia Environmental Finance Authority grant. Isn't this an amazing picture? I really have to get to the top of that building and see them. We were also notified early last year that we received $750,000 in community projects funding from Congresswoman Nikema Williams for a similar Garrett, please say thank you again. And we've been notified that we received $500,000 for solar panels at the Beacon Complex from Senator Ossoff's community projects funding. This was as part of the recent omnibus bill that was passed, so we are on our way. And I do have to give a shout out to Senator Warnock's office. They had funding in the omnibus bill for us to continue implementing our bike connectivity path, but we didn't make it in this year, but 2022, but we're hopeful to be able to bring something forward with his office in 2023. Another climate change initiative identified in the strategic plan is to increase our tree canopy. The new tree ordinance, or the updated tree ordinance, was adopted on January 18th, 2022, almost a year ago to the day, and became effective on March 21st, 2022. The new tree ordinance established a goal of 65% canopy coverage, compared to the 57% that was measured in 2019 and for a number of years prior to that. A survey will be conducted in 2024 to help gauge the new ordinance effectiveness and determine progress toward our tree canopy goal. We've also planted about 250 trees, and those are city plantings, and Decatur has been designated as a Tree City USA for over a decade and is recognized as one of 140 tree cities of the world by the Arbor Day Foundation. We know that increasing our tree canopy and planting street trees will also help moderate the heat island effect of parking lots, roads, and even sidewalks, all contributing to the development of the 10-minute neighborhood concept. A 10-minute neighborhood provides for most of the daily needs within a short walk or bike ride. So yes, the cycle track and the pedestrian safety improvements on the Church Street, Commerce, Claremont corridor us shaded and cooler as we use those different modes of transportation. We also know that daily needs include a mix of housing types, groceries, restaurants, shops, and services, playgrounds, parks, schools, and public transportation. And of course, we all know that Baby Kroger recently closed. It was a surprise to all of us, as it was a surprise to you. But I really appreciate the quick response of our Economic Development Department in helping us find a way to get downtown neighbors to a grocery store. The City of Decatur and the Decatur Downtown Development Authority recently announced the new shuttle service to transport residents from downtown Decatur to the Publix at Sam's Crossing Village. The 90-day pilot program will be operated by Let's Ride Atlanta and is sponsored by both the Downtown Development Authority and public supermarkets. And according to Shirley Bayless, our business development manager, she recently stated, "We have high hopes for this initiative as it will not only provide critical transportation to those who need to shop for groceries, but do so in electric vehicles that reinforce our community." So I look forward to riding it. Some of you may not make the age requirement, but I do, and if you're nice, I'll take you on the ride with me and shop for groceries. We know that a part of downtown economic development strategy has to be a safe and appealing downtown. I want you to meet the Decatur Clean Team, a partnership of the City of Decatur, the Downtown Development Authority, and the Decatur Tourism Board. They're helping us with that extra cleanup in the downtown area. Be sure to thank them when you see them. The DDA is also sponsoring a storefront facade assistance program with grants for businesses to improve their storefronts. And the grants are a 75-25 match, with the applicant paying 25% of the cost. And DDA is now accepting applications for that program. We want to support our businesses. We want to give them the funding that they may need for a little bit of a refresh. I do want to talk a little bit about how COVID impacts are definitely being felt and how they, I think, were felt in terms of our businesses over last year in 2022. And the numbers that you see here are actually from the beginning of this fiscal year. And as you can see, we have lost a total of 6 businesses, and we have lost a total of 116 jobs. I will say that a number of those lost jobs, over 80, I believe, are associated with the closing of Kroger. But all is not negative news. We have a lot of positive things to report with respect to our downtown business corridor. We had a lot of fun with some ribbon cuttings and enthusiastic openings of some new downtown businesses. On this one, I believe you will see the Aya Medical Spa and Journeyman, 2 very different businesses. Happy to have them in downtown Decatur. Soul Play and Cereal Lab are the next 2 that you see. Again, very different small businesses, independent. We're happy to have them. And then Obo Coffee, which I believe is one of the newest businesses that has recently opened to help us with our never-ending coffee fix in the city of Decatur. We all need that coffee. So I'm thrilled to have these new businesses. I'm also happy to report that we are making some progress on our affordable housing initiatives. I'll read a little bit from the slide, but the cottage court units, we have 6 units that are going in. You see the progress on Commerce Drive. These will be offered first to employees of Decatur, the City Schools of Decatur, and the Decatur Housing Authority, and we're partnering with the Atlanta Neighborhood Development Partnership, and are thrilled to be able to add these to some affordable housing initiatives or options in the city of Decatur. And we also will have our first large housing development that will meet our inclusionary housing ordinance that will include 372 units with 41 affordable units as a part of the Northwood Raven project. I also want to talk a little bit about missing middle. And the missing middle strategy is looking at putting duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes back in our single-family neighborhoods. They existed before, and they open up a lot of options for different types of housing in the city of Decatur. And adding the ADU, or the accessory dwelling unit, gives us one more piece to affordability in the city of Decatur. We know we can't solve the housing crisis. It's not only in the metro area, it's nationwide, but we know that we can be a part of the solution in our own community. And many of you know we had our first official vote on the Missing Middle Housing Initiative at our last, longest ever city commission meeting. Anyone that stayed up and watched it, kudos to you. And we'll have our next vote at our first meeting in February. We're also, and you can see the goals, we want to preserve a community that's inclusive and welcoming for all, that has housing choices for a diversity of incomes, offers flexible housing options, and will increase the supply of smaller housing units. We're also making progress with our South Housing Village with our partners from the Decatur Housing Authority. As I mentioned, Doug Faust is here. Phase 1 will include 66 units, plus the connecting roads and infrastructure for both phases. I believe the outer ring in orange is part of the first phase, and we'll be groundbreaking on this very soon. And I have to announce that we received infrastructure funding from Congressman Hank Johnson's office for both the Creative Village at Legacy Park and the South Housing Village. And we're using some of our own ARPA funding to help fund that initiative. So we look forward to that groundbreaking and that housing initiative that will offer opportunities for people who can't currently live and enjoy the city of Decatur and the city of Decatur schools and be a part of our community. We also hired our first ever equity and engagement director, Renee Jackson. We also are making sure that we use an equity lens for all of our plans, asking our Better Together board to review our planning efforts to make sure that we aren't forgetting something, and how are we making sure that this overlay of racial justice and equity are a part of each and every plan that we do in the city of Decatur. We also are adding hybrid meeting technology at Decatur Rec to allow more residents to participate in our meeting, again, opening up our meetings for more civic engagement and for additional people to be there in person. And we continue to have hybrid meetings to allow for additional public input and public comment, even if it takes us to 1:45 in the morning. So, I also wanted to just mention the American Rescue Funds. James mentioned the partnership with the City Schools of Decatur for the athletic field and track at Legacy Park, and we're using some of our ARPA funds for that. Keep up with the day-to-day important activities like public works, police, fire, managing the finances, and all of the day-to-day activities that happen in the city of Decatur. Well, here's some more good news. The city is proposing some additional tax exemptions for homeowners. We've talked to our state legislators and have initiated the process to get local legislation approved so that these can be voted on at the November election. We may have a record turnout for our November municipal election. So I hope you all will let you know as these move through the process. State Representative Amari Crawford is sponsoring these, and I saw him this evening. He couldn't stay, but he said he's in the process of getting those bills to our DeKalb delegation so that they can make it through the legislative session and be on our ballot. And as you can see, again, these are homestead exemptions. So we want to increase the general homestead exemption from $25,000 to $40,000. That applies to all homeowners in the city of Decatur. Increase the exemption from $10,000 to $15,000 for all homeowners ages 65 and older. Increase the exemption from $15,000 to $25,000 for homeowners who are 62 or older and have an income less than $60,000. We've raised that from $50,000. We will also have the land trust exemption for $40,000 so that those new homeowners that are living on properties like at Cottage Court, your assessment of value assessment includes the land, and they won't own the land. So we have to put that through the state legislature with a $40,000 exemption for $40,000 exemption for homes on the land trust property. And there's no change for tax deferral to the $100,000 deferral, but we will increase the qualifying income from $20,000 to $60,000, and homeowners have to be 62 or older. We've been hearing from many of you, and we hope that this will offer some homeowner tax relief for those who need it the most, for older residents, and really across the board for everyone. So I'm thrilled that we'll be taking this through to the General Assembly and asking you to vote on it. And if you don't remember anything else tonight, remember that Decatur is celebrating its bicentennial this year. And 2023 marks an important milestone for the city of Decatur as we celebrate the 200th anniversary of Decatur's incorporation on December the 10th, 1823. Decatur was designated the county seat for DeKalb County, which was established in 1822. So my friends from the county, you're a year older than we are. What kind of legacy do we want to leave as a part of our bicentennial celebration? Well, we know that we're going to be incorporating the city's birthday into a variety of festivals and events throughout the year, beginning with the Lunar New Year Festival being held this Saturday, January the 28th at Legacy Park. I believe it is the year of the rabbit. In addition to celebrating, we also want to consider what legacy we are leaving for future generations. And I think as we contemplate our bicentennial celebration, I hope we will listen to what some of our youth are telling us. Our Decatur Youth Council is telling us what they want and expect. And thanks to Mayor Pro Tem Tony Powers for working with this amazing group of people. They want us to leave a legacy of more housing diversity. They want us to address climate change. And they want us to recognize inequities and racial injustices. So as we look at this year to celebrate and look at opportunities to celebrate, I hope that we can keep these in mind. Mayor Pro Tem Powers also chairs our Decatur Legacy Board. Let's give him a hand. So how can you help us have a lasting legacy? Well, one way is to help us raise money for the Bicentennial Fund. We want to raise $200,000 in 200 days. It's an effort, maybe a heavy lift, but look at what we did to support our businesses during COVID. Look how we stepped up to every challenge we have in the city of Decatur. You can help us leave a lasting legacy supporting our community values by supporting the Bicentennial Fund. We partnered with Decatur Legacy, a 501c3 organization, to manage this effort. Funds raised will support 3 important projects with lasting value. The 200 Stories project will record the stories of a wide range of Decatur residents who help make up this unique place we call home. We're working with StoryCorps, SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, and Agnes Scott College to train volunteers, recruit participants, record and illustrate, and archive the stories. There's information available on the Legacy Decatur website. The 200 Trees project will work to plant 200 trees throughout the city to be marked as bicentennial trees that will assure future generations can enjoy the same tree canopy that we cherish. Decatur residents can sign up to have a shade tree planted in their front yard at no charge as a part of this effort. Help us maintain and bring back the tree-lined neighborhoods that we enjoy and that we can pass along to following generations. Pick up a card tonight about this shady proposition. So finally, we're raising funds to provide seed money for the Decatur Land Trust to assist them in preserving existing affordable housing options and to support the development of new affordable housing options to continue our legacy of housing variety throughout our city. And thanks to our Commissioner Lisa Meyer for serving on our Decatur Land Trust. I want to say thank you for all of you for being here. You can find out more information about how to get involved at the Legacy Decatur website. I look forward to 2023. I look forward to celebrating Decatur's bicentennial. Thank all of you for being here. I hope that each of you have picked up some swag, as we always have at the State of the City. These great notebooks with celebrating our 200th bicentennial anniversary. And if you thought that maybe I dressed to match one of the planters, you're wrong. I match the notebooks. So, one day those planters will go. Now we'll take that over to Jill, who has some announcements and some giveaways, I think.
So thank you to our school board chair, Herndon, and Mayor Garrett. affinity or community groups. So please join us for that. So we thank everyone for coming. If